Hi everyone. I'm very excited to be here today at South by among so many interesting speakers. My name is Jed Baker and I'm the CEO of Starglow Media, which is the world's largest kids and family audio network. We specialize in advertising to kids and parents across 50 shows, including fan favorites like Blue's Clues, Dora the Explorer, and Paw Patrol. Today, I'm going to be talking about the history of kids advertising, the nag factor, why podcasts are so effective in 2025, and why this demographic is so crucial to brands today. This horrifying image is the first ad directed towards children in 1952. It was Mr. Potato Head, even if it doesn't look like it. Mr. Potato Head, like Barbie and Lego, took off in the post-war boom because plastic was widely available and parents had disposable income. But at the time, marketers thought the only thing you could market towards kids were toys, because the prevalent thought was, why market something to a demographic that has no purchasing power? This is the last nightmare-inducing image, I promise. This is the original Ronald McDonald. Eventually, marketers started to realize that kids had real influence over their parents' purchasing decisions, and McDonald's was at the forefront of this. Marketers started to realize that if kids could influence their parents to buy toys, they could influence them to buy other products like cars, vacation spots, food, and household utilities. And what they were tapping into was universally called the nag factor, or pester power. And John Hopkins defines pester power as the unrelenting ability of children to pester their parents for advertised products. And if you are a parent or anyone who's been around a child, I'm sure you've experienced this. When I was a kid, I incessantly begged my parents for a Nintendo 64, and eventually it worked because it's a really powerful concept. What ended up happening was that in the 1980s, Reagan administered a lot of anti-regulatory measures for kids advertising, which led to an explosion in kids ads, and not necessarily in the best way. This also coincided with Nickelodeon and Disney Channel's rise in the early 80s. By 1990, regulators started to really take notice of what was going on and started to impose more regulations like the Children's Television Act and COPPA, which protects children's digital content. And these keep kids safe today. So Starglow, for instance, we take great care in ensuring that our ads are transparent, age-appropriate, and contextual. And this is why we're proud to be COPPA compliant. So what ended up happening was that these ads were working phenomenally for advertisers. Reaching a parent and kid at the same time in co-viewership through TV ads was having an outsized impact. 76% of advertised items children were requesting, and 46% of those products were attributed to the influence of kids on their parents. However, things changed. In 2000, linear TV ad dollars made up 26% of the global ad market. By 2024, it represented 11%, and by 2027, it's estimated it will go down to 5%. Over the last few decades, OTT has supplanted live broadcast, YouTube is now the most popular streamer, and social media, smartphones, and tablets have isolated children and parents. So we're now looking at a dynamic where kids are in a digital-first world, and there's less co-viewership, and especially co-listenership. So to reach this demographic, your message needs to be on a desired channel, and it's not easy to find a way to reach kids and parents at the same time. Due to all this media fragmentation and decentralization of attention, kids and parents, again, are very isolated, and co-viewership or co-listenership is really important. If you're just reaching the child, your message isn't going to be heard or trusted by the parent, and your message is going to be less effective. So, in today's world, your channel you pick needs to have three things. It needs to be compelling to the child, it needs to be intelligible to the one with purchasing power, the parent, and it needs to be, ideally, a channel in which there's co-viewership or co-listenership. 80% of kids are spending their time on social media, YouTube, and video games, and these are all solo activities. So the idea of reaching kids and parents via cable television is long gone, and we need to figure out where the new media hearth of the home is, the device that replaces the TV that kids and parents gather around, and you can actively and effectively reach through advertisements to increase nag power. And of course, I'm a little biased, but what we've seen in podcasts in the kids and family space for the last few years has been nothing short of extraordinary. During the pandemic, kids were going to be glued to the screens. That was, a given. But parents wanted to see if there were any non-screen alternatives that could just supplement some of that time, and podcasts were a natural fit. It led to an explosion in listenership in 2020 and 2021. But after the pandemic ended, growth didn't slow in listenership. In fact, screen time is still American parents' #1 concern. And what it's led to is today, 67% of kids listen to podcasts monthly, and 93% of their parents say they're more interested in podcasts today than they were a year ago. This is pretty phenomenal, but the most interesting part is that of this listenership, 92% is co-listening. It's a staggering number. It's more than any other media channel, and we haven't seen levels of co-listenership or co-viewership this high since early cable days. Parents and kids are listening to podcasts together in the car, after school, and during wind-down routines before bedtime. And brands are starting to take notice. Over the last 5 years, ad revenue in the kids and family podcast space has grown 3,000%. That's 30x. Brands like Toyota, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Nintendo, Netflix, Toyota, the list goes on, are all starting to jump in. And the most important thing is that parents trust the message. 9 in 10 parents are receptive to an ad from their kid's favorite podcast host. Parents agree that podcasts coming from their kids' favorite podcast hosts are the most trusted source of media recommendation, with 75% of parents giving them a highly trusted rating, and 87% of children will share something they learned in a podcast with someone else, enhancing brand reach. So I think it's obvious that reaching children and their parents through podcasts is highly effective, but why is this such a crucial demographic? So 87% of parents today now agree that their kids have an outsized impact on the brands they decide to purchase. And that's not just toys. It's not just going to, their favorite fast food restaurant. This is every single product in the household to varying degrees. But again, that 87% number is pretty staggering. Also, parents on average spend 2 times as much as the average consumer. That's a staggering amount as well. So with these parents who are now part of the millennial audience, a very coveted marketing demographic, it's not that easy to reach them. But what brands have started to realize is that reaching them and reaching their kids at the same time has an outsized impact, because these kids are, again, through the nag factor, going to echo that message to their parents over and over and over. So whether you're looking to sell Legos, cruise packages, pet food, family phone plans, you can't ignore this demographic. And really, it's just about rethinking the way that we view co-viewership, co-listenership, because effectively, podcasts have replaced what early cable used to be. Kids and family podcasts are truly having an incredible moment right now. And, we're seeing it at Starglow. The average podcast brand renewal rate is 33%. I'll repeat that. The average podcast brand renewal rate is 33%. At Starglow, it's 90%. Our brands keep coming back time and time again because our ads are so unbelievably effective. So I'll leave you with this. If you're looking to reach kids and families to sell them products in 2025, I really urge you to consider making podcasts, especially co-listening podcasts, a part of your media plan. Thank you.